Chapters 1 to 5, Book 10, Volume 2 of Morte Darthur. This is a Librvox recording. All Librvox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librvox.org. Read by Artos. Morte Darthur, Volume 2, by Sir Thomas Malory. Chapter 1. And if so be ye can describe what ye bear, ye are worthy to bear the arms. As for that, said Sir Tristram, I will answer you. This shield was given me, not desired, of Queen Morgan le Fay. And as for me, I cannot describe these arms, for it is no point of my charge. And yet I trust to God to bear them with worship. Truly, said King Arthur, ye ought not to bear none arms, but if ye wist what ye bear. But I pray you, tell me your name. To what intent? Said Sir Tristram. For I would wit, said Arthur. Sir, ye shall not wit as at this time. Then shall ye and I do battle together, said King Arthur. Why, said Sir Tristram, will ye do battle with me, but if I tell you my name? And that little needeth you, an ye were a man of worship, for ye have seen me this day have had great travail, and therefore ye are a villainous knight to ask battle of me, considering my great travail. Howbeit, I will not fail you, and have ye no doubt that I fear not you. Though you think you have me at great advantage, yet shall I right well endure you. And therewithal King Arthur dressed his shield and his spear, and Sir Tristram against him, and they came so eagerly together. And there King Arthur brake his spear all to pieces upon Sir Tristram's shield, but Sir Tristram hit Arthur again, that horse and man fell to the earth. And there was King Arthur wounded on the left side, a great wound and a perilous. Then when Sir Uwaine saw his lord Arthur lie on the ground sore wounded, he was passing heavy. And then he dressed his shield and his spear, and cried aloud unto Sir Tristram, and said, Knight, defend thee. So they came together as thunder, and Sir Uwaine brised his spear all to pieces upon Sir Tristram's shield. And Sir Tristram smote him harder and sorer, with such a might that he bare him clean out of his saddle to the earth. With that Sir Tristram turned about and said, Fair knights, I had no need to joust with you, for I have had enough to do this day. Then arose Arthur, and went to Sir Uwaine, and said to Sir Tristram, We have as we have deserved, for through our augurité we demanded battle of you, and yet we knew not your name. Nevertheless, by Saint Cross, said Sir Uwaine, he is a strong knight at mine advice as any is now living. Then Sir Tristram departed, and in every place he asked and demanded after Sir Launcelot, but in no place he could not hear of him whether he were dead or alive. Wherefore Sir Tristram made great dole and sorrow. So Sir Tristram rode by a forest, and then he was ware of a fair tower by a marsh on that one side, and on that other side a fair meadow. And there he saw 10 knights fighting together, and ever the nearer he came he saw how there was but one knight did battle against 9 knights, and that one did so marvellously that Sir Tristram had great wonder that ever one knight might do so great deeds of arms. And then within a little while he had slain half their horses and unhorsed them, and their horses ran into the fields and forest. Then Sir Tristram had so great pity of that one knight that endured so great pain, and never he thought it should be Sir Palomides by his shield. And so he rode unto the knights, and cried unto them, and bade them cease of their battle, for they did themselves great shame so many knights to fight with one. Then answered the master of those knights, his name was called Breuse sans Pité, that was at that time the most mischievous knight living, and said, Sir knight, what have ye ado with us to meddle, And therefore, an ye be wise, depart on your way as ye came, for this knight shall not escape us. That were pity, said Sir Tristram, that so good a knight as he is should be slain so cowardly. And therefore I warn you I will succour him with all my puissance. Chapter 2. So Sir Tristram alighted off his horse, because they were on foot, that they should not slay his horse, and then dressed his shield, with his sword in his hand, and he smote on the right hand and on the left hand passing sore, that well nigh at every stroke he struck down a knight. And when they espied his strokes, they fled all with Breuse Sans Pité unto the tower, and Sir Tristram followed fast after with his sword in his hand, but they escaped into the tower, and shut Sir Tristram without the gate. And when Sir Tristram saw this, he returned back unto Sir Palomides, and found him sitting under a tree, sore wounded. Ah, fair knights, said Sir Tristram, well be ye found. Gramercy, said Sir Palomides, of your great goodness, for ye have rescued me of my life, and saved me from my death. What is your name? Said Sir Tristram. He said, My name is Sir Palomides. O Jesu, said Sir Tristram, thou hast a fair grace of me this day, that I should rescue thee, and thou art the man in the world that I most hate. But now make thee ready, for I will do battle with thee. What is your name? Said Sir Palomides. My name is Sir Tristram, your mortal enemy. It may be so, said Sir Palomides, but ye have done overmuch for me this day that I should fight with you. For inasmuch as ye have saved my life, it will be no worship for you to have ado with me, for ye are fresh, and I am wounded sore. And therefore, an ye will needs have ado with me, assign me a day, and then shall I meet you without fail. Ye say well, said Sir Tristram. Now I assign you to meet me in the meadow by the river of Camelot, where Merlin set the Perron. So they were agreed. Then Sir Tristram asked Sir Palomides why the 10 knights did battle with him. For this cause, said Sir Palomides, as I rode upon my adventures in a forest here beside, I espied where lay a dead knight, and a lady weeping beside him. And when I saw her making such dole, I asked her who slew her lord. Sir, she said, the falsest knight of the world now living, and he is the most villain that ever man heard speak of, and his name is Sir Breuse Sans Pité. Then for pity I made the damosel to leap on her palfrey, and I promised her to be her warrant, and to help her to inter her lord. And so, suddenly, as I came riding by this tower, there came out Sir Breuse Sans Pité, and suddenly he struck me from my horse. And then, or I might recover my horse, this Sir Breuse slew the damosel. And so I took my horse again, and I was sore ashamed, and so began the medley betwixt us. And this is the cause wherefore we did this battle. Well, said Sir Tristram, now I understand the manner of your battle, but in any wise have remembrance of your promise that ye have made with me to do battle with me this day fortnight. I shall not fail you, said Sir Palomides. Well, said Sir Tristram, as at this time I will not fail you till that ye be out of the danger of your enemies. So they mounted upon their horses, and rode together unto that forest. And there they found a fair well, with clear water bubbling. Fair sir, said Sir Tristram, to drink of that water have I courage. And then they alighted off their horses. And then were they ware by them where stood a great horse tied to a tree, and ever he neighed. And then were they ware of a fair knight armed under a tree, lacking no piece of harness, save his helm lay under his head. By the good Lord, said Sir Tristram, yonder lieth a well-faring knight. What is best to do? Awake him, said Sir Palomides. So Sir Tristram awaked him with the butt of his spear, and so the knight rose up hastily, and put his helm upon his head, and gat a great spear in his hand. And without any more words he hurled it unto Sir Tristram, and smote him clean from his saddle to the earth, and hurt him on the left side, that Sir Tristram lay in great peril. Then he walloped farther, and fetched his course, and came hurling upon Sir Palomides, and there he struck him a part through the body, that he fell from his horse to the earth. And then this strange knight left them there, and took his way through the forest. With this Sir Palomides and Sir Tristram were on foot, and gat their horses again. Either asked counsel of the other what was best to do. By my head, said Sir Tristram, I will follow this strong knight that thus hath shamed us. Well, said Sir Palomides, and I will repose me hereby with a friend of mine. Beware, said Sir Tristram unto Palomides, that ye fail not that day that ye have set with me to do battle, for, as I deem, ye will not hold your day, for I am much bigger than ye. As for that, said Sir Palomides, be it as it may, for I fear you not. For, an I be not sick nor prisoner, I will not fail you. But I have cause to have more doubt of you, that ye will not meet with me, for ye ride after yonder strong knight. And if ye meet with him, it is an hard adventure, and ever ye escape his hands. Right so Sir Tristram and Sir Palomides departed. Either took their ways diverse. Chapter 3. And so Sir Tristram rode long after this strong knight. And at the last he saw where lay a lady overthwart a dead knight. Fair lady, said Sir Tristram, who hath slain your lord? Sir, she said, here came a knight riding, as my lord and I rested us here, and asked him of whence he was. And my lord said, of Arthur's court. And therefore, said the strong knight, I will joust with thee, for I hate all these that be of Arthur's court. And my lord that lieth here dead, and mounted on his horse. And the strong knight and my lord encountered together, and there he smote my lord throughout with his spear, and thus he hath brought me great woe and damage. That me repenteth, said Sir Tristram, of your great anger, and it please you tell me your husband's name. Sir, said she, his name was Gallardoun, that would have proved a good knight. So departed Sir Tristram from that dolorous lady, and had much evil lodging. Then, on the third day, Sir Tristram met with Sir Gawaine, and with Sir Bleoberis, in a forest at a lodge, and either were sore wounded. Then Sir Tristram asked Sir Gawaine and Sir Bleoberis if they met with such a knight, with such a cognizance, with a covered shield. Fair sir, said these knights, such a knight met with us to our great damage, and first he smote down my fellow Sir Bleoberis, and sore wounded him because he bade me I should not have ado with him, for why he was over strong for me. That strong knight took his words at scorn, and said he said it for mockery, and then they rode together, and so he hurt my fellow. And when he had done, so I might not for shame, but I must joust with him. And at the first course he smote me down, and my horse to the earth. And there he had almost slain me, and from us he took his horse, and departed. And in an evil time we met with him. Fair knights, said Sir Tristram, so he met with me, and with another knight that hight Palomides, and he smote us both down with one spear, and hurt us right sore. By my faith, said Sir Gawaine, by my counsel By my counsel ye shall let him pass, and seek him no further. For at the next feast of the Round Table, upon pain of my head, ye shall find him there. By my faith, said Sir Tristram, I shall never rest till that I find him. And then Sir Gawaine asked him his name. Then he said, My name is Sir Tristram. And so either told other their names, and then departed Sir Tristram and rode his way. And by fortune, in a meadow, Sir Tristram met with Sir Kay the seneschal and Sir Dinadan. What tidings with you, said Sir Tristram, with you knights? Not good, said these knights. Why so? Said Sir Tristram. I pray you tell me, for I ride to seek a knight. What cognizance beareth he? Said Sir Kay. He beareth, said Sir Tristram, a covered shield close with cloth. By my head, said Sir Kay, that is the same knight that met with us. For this night we were lodged within a widow's house, and there was a knight that lodged. And when he wist we were of Arthur's court, he spoke great villainy by the king, and specially by Queen Guinevere. Then on the morn was waged battle with him for that cause, and at the first recounter, said Sir Kay, he smote me down from my horse and hurt me passing sore. And when my fellow Sir Dinadan saw me smitten down and hurt, he would not revenge me, but fled from me. And thus he departed. And then Sir Tristram asked them their names, and so either told other their names. And so Sir Tristram departed from Sir Kay and from Sir Dinadan, and so he passed through a great forest into a plain, till he was ware of a priory. And there he reposed him with a good man 6 days. Chapter 4. And then he sent his man that hight Gouvernail, and commanded him to go to a city thereby to fetch him new harness. For it was a long time afore that Sir Tristram had been refreshed, his harness was brised and broken. And when Gouvernail his servant was come with his apparel, he took his leave at the widow, and mounted upon his horse, and rode his way early on the morn. And by sudden adventure Sir Tristram met with Sir Sagramore le Desirous, and with Sir Dodinas le Savage. And these two knights met with Sir Tristram, and questioned with him, and asked him if he would joust with them. Fair knights, said Sir Tristram, with a good will I would joust with you, but I have promised at a day set, near hand, to do battle with a strong knight. And therefore I am loath to have ado with you, for an it misfortuned me here to be hurt, I should not be able to do my battle which I promised. As for that, said Sagramore, more grey your head, ye shall joust with us, or ye pass from us. Well, said Sir Tristram, if you enforce me thereto, I must do what I may. Then they dressed their shields and came running together with great ire. But through Sir Tristram's great force he struck Sir Sagramore from his horse. Then he hurled his horse farther, and said to Sir Dodinas, Knight, make thee ready. And so through fine force Sir Tristram struck Dodinas from his horse, and when he saw them lie on the earth he took his bridle, and rode forth on his way, and his man Gouvernail with him. Anon, as Sir Tristram was past, Sir Sagramore and Sir Dodinas gat again their horses, and mounted up lightly, and followed after Sir Tristram. And when Sir Tristram saw them come so fast after him, he returned with his horse to them, and asked them what they would. It is not long ago sithen I smote you to the earth at your own request and desire. I would have ridden by you, but ye would not suffer me, and now meseemeth ye would do more battle with me. That is truth, said Sir Sagramore and Sir Dodinas, for we will be revenged of the despite ye have done to us. Fair knights, said Sir Tristram, that shall little need you, For all that I did to you ye caused it, and therefore I require you of your knighthood leave me as at this time, for I am sure an I do battle with you, I shall not escape without great hurts, and as I suppose ye shall not escape all lotless. And this is the cause why I am so loath to have ado with you, for I must fight within these 3 days with a good knight, and as valiant as any is now living, and if I be hurt I shall not be able to do battle with him. What knight is that, said Sir Sagramore, that she shall fight withal? Sirs, said he, it is a good knight, called Sir Palomides. By my head, said Sir Sagramore and Sir Dodinas, ye have cause to dread him, for ye shall find him a passing good knight, and a valiant. And because ye shall have ado with him, we will forbear you as at this time, and else ye should not escape us lightly. But, fair knight, said Sir Sagramore, tell us your name. Sir, said he, my name is Sir Tristram de Lyonesse. Ah, said Sir Sagramore and Sir Dodinas, well be ye found, for much worship have we heard of you. And then either took leave of the other, and departed on their way. Chapter 5. Then departed Sir Tristram, and rode straight unto Camelot, to the peron that Merlin had made tofore, where Sir Lanceor, that was the king's son of Ireland, was slain by the hands of Balin. And in that same place was the fair Lady Colombe slain, that was love unto Sir Lanceor. For after he was dead, she took his sword and thrust it through her body. And by the craft of Merlin he made to inter this knight Lanceor and his Lady Colombe under one stone. And at that time Merlin prophesied that in that same place should fight 2 the best knights that ever were in Arthur's days, and the best lovers. So when Sir Tristram came to the tomb where Lanceor and his lady were buried, he looked about him after Sir Palomides. Then he was ware of a seemly knight came riding against him, all in white, with a covered shield. When he came nigh Sir Tristram, he said on high, Ye be welcome, Sir Knight, and well and truly have ye holden your promise. And then they dressed their shields and spears, and came together with all their might of their horses, and they met so fiercely that both their horses and knights fell to the earth, and as fast as they might they avoided their horses, and put their shields afore them, and they struck together with bright swords as men that were of might, and either wounded the other wonderly sore, so that the blood ran out upon the grass, and thus they fought the space of 4 hours, that never one would speak to other one word, and of their harness they had hewn off many pieces. O Lord Jesu, said Gouvernail, I marvel greatly of the strokes my master hath given to your master. By my head, said Sir Launcelot's servant, your master hath not given so many, but your master has received as many or more. O Jesu, said Gouvernail, it is too much for Sir Palomides to suffer, or Sir Launcelot. And yet pity it were that either of these good knights should destroy other's blood. So they stood and wept both, and made great dole, when they saw the bright swords overcovered with blood of their bodies. Then at the last spake Sir Launcelot, and said, Knight, thou fightest wonderly well as ever I saw knight. Therefore, an it please you, tell me your name. Sir, said Sir Tristram, that is me loath to tell any man my name. Truly, said Sir Launcelot, an I were required, I was never loath to tell my name. It is well said, said Sir Tristram. Then I require you to tell me your name. Fair knight, he said, my name is Sir Launcelot du Lake. Alas, said Sir Tristram, what have I done? For ye are the man in the world that I love best. Fair knight, said Sir Launcelot, tell me your name. Truly, said he, my name is Sir Tristram de Lyonesse. O Jesu, said Sir Launcelot, what adventure is befallen me? And therewith Sir Launcelot kneeled down and yielded him up his sword. And therewith Sir Tristram kneeled down and yielded him up his sword. And so either gave other the degree. And then they both forthwithal went to the stone, and set them down upon it, and took off their helms to cool them, and either kissed other 100 times. And then anon after they took off their helms and rode to Camelot. And there they met with Sir Gawaine and Sir Gaheris, that had made the promise to Arthur never to come again to the court till they had brought Sir Tristram with them. End of Book 10, Chapters 1 to 5. Recording by Artos, Penzance, Cornwall.